Good afternoon, teacher. This time our group will discuss the risks of drugs. The misuse of alcohol, nicotine, and illegal drugs in addition to the use of prescription drugs cost people hundreds of dollars each year. Your health declines and your healthcare expenses rises. As a result of drugs use, there is a greater number of crimes and increases the loss of productivity. In this world, we will expose you about drugs, addictions, and the risks that they can cause. What are drugs? Drugs are substances that, when introduced into the body, act on the central nervous system. This causes changes that can affect behavior, mood, or perception. Drugs are chemical or substances that change the way our bodies work. Some are medicines that help people when doctors prescribe them. Many have no medical uses or benefits. Drugs, of course, vary greatly in the effects that have of users, partly because they affect the nervous system in very different ways. Some drugs alter the limbic system and others affect the operation of certain neurotransmitters between the synapses of neurons. For example, some drugs block or increase the release of neurotransmitters, others block their uptake or clearance of a neurotransmitter, and still others mimic the effects of a given neurotransmitter. How the drugs act in the human body? When taken, usually by swallowing, inhaling, or injecting, abused drugs find their way into the bloodstream. From there, they move to the brain and other parts of the body. In the brain, drugs may intensify or dull the senses, change how alert or sleepy people feel, and sometimes decrease physical pain. Because of the way these drugs work on the brain, they affect the ability to make healthy choices and decisions. Even drinking makes people more likely to get involved in dangerous situations, like driving under the influence or having unprotected sex. Although substances can feel good at first, they can do a lot of harm to the body and brain. Drinking alcohol, smoking, or using tobacco, taking illegal drugs, even sniffing glue all damage the human body. The depressants are drugs that slow down the central nervous system and the message that go between the brain and the body. These drugs decrease people's concentration and slow down their ability to respond. The name depressant suggests that these drugs can make a person feel depressed, but this is not always the case. The term depressant purely refers to the effect of slowing down the central nervous system. Examples of depressants included alcohol, opioids, barbiturics, etc. Stimulants, also referred to as psychostimulants, are drugs that simulate and stimulate the central nervous system and speed up the message going between the brain and the body. These drugs typically increase energy, heart rate, and appetite. Some examples of psychostimulants include methamphetamines, cocaine, desamphetamines, caffeine, nicotine, and MDMA. And the hallucinogens are drugs which typically alter how a person perceives the world. These drugs can change the way a person sees, hears, tastes, smells, or feels different things, including experiencing things that aren't there at all. Some examples of hallucinogens include ketamine, magic mushroom, and LSD.
What is an addiction? Addiction is a chronic and relaxing disease of the brain. It is based on the search for relief through the compulsion or use of substances of other similar behavior. Development of this behavior implies for the affected person the inability to control, the difficulty in the abstinence desire of the control decrease. Control or the problem clear for addiction any impersonal. relationships, as well as differential emotion knowing points. The Chris problem is the life of the edited person, reducing their quality of life. Apart from addiction to toxic substances, alcohol, on drug addiction, there are multiple addiction to new technology, sex, methamphetamine, gambling, pathological, gangly, video, game, mobile, homophobia. Whatever the causes of an addiction, the causes of an addiction are multiple and interact in a complex with that lead to the addictive disorder. The causes are different for each patient, so each case must be individually, and a study of her personal and family history must be carried out in order to make the most appropriate diagnosis. Personality for play a fundamental role in the development of an addiction. There are some specific characteristics such as difficulty managing one or feeling or low tolerance for confrontation that facilitate the addiction disorder. Addiction can lead to serious problems for the physical and mental health of the patient. It is important to detect there at early stage to achieve an effective diagnosis and treatment. For the reason, the collaboration of the friend and family is very important, but in detection and the treatment and follow-on. Frequently, addicted people have had problems derived from their addiction, especially in the case of the toxic substance. This can be heart disease, lung disease, cancer of mental health. Also, addiction to sex or drug can increase the risk of serious infection, such as HIV or hepatitis C. In addition, the cases of heart illness is also common.
The height a drug producer is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of which is due to the body. According to the United States Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, 1 in 4 deaths in the country can be attributed to alcohol, tobacco, and the use of illicit or progressive drugs. The strongest number has to with the damaging effect of drugs on key body systems, some of which can continue long after a person has achieved sobriety. Here are some of the possibility side effects to be aware of: weakened immune system, liver failure, heart failure, severe damage, cognitive problems including memory and attention problems, seizures, stroke, and nausea and abdominal pain. Program of the disease addiction can allow serious problems for the physical and mental highlights of the patient. It is important to detect them at early stages to achieve an effective diagnosis and treatment. For this reason, the collaboration of friends and family is very important both identification and treatment out and follow up. Frequently, addiction people have health problems derived from the addictions, especially in the case of toxic substances. These can be heart disease, lung disease, cancer, or mental health, also addiction to sex or drugs can increase the risk of serious infections such as HIV or hepatitis C. In addition, the condition of mental illness is also common. Some disorders such as anxiety, schizophrenia, or depression can be a result of the drugs used or worsen and result. Finally, addiction can end up affecting and causing harm to other people, especially in cases of pregnancy but due to stress or anxiety.
The harmful consequences of drug use and addiction affect people of all ages. Teens who use drugs may misbehave and do poorly in school or drop out. Using drugs when the brain is still developing can create long-lasting brain change and increase the risk of dependence. Adults who use drugs may have trouble thinking clearly, remember things, or paying attention. They may engage in social misconduct due to drug use, and their personal relationships and job performance might suffer. Parental drug use can lead to chaotic and stressful home, as well as child abuse or neglect. These conditions harm the well-being and development of children in the home and may set the stage for drug use in the next generation. Babies who are exposed to drugs in the womb may be born before the time of pregnancy, or weigh less than normal. The exposure can delay the child's ability to learn and also affect her future behavior. In addition, it is possible for the baby to develop dependence on opioids or the other drug used by the mother during pregnancy, and conditions known as neonatal abstinence syndrome. Conclusion: there are several types of treatment to overcome drug addiction. The two main types are behavioral treatment, helping the person change their behavior, and pharmacological treatment, treating the person with medication. Experts in drug addiction treatment teach people how to live without drugs, how to deal with craving, how to avoid situations that encourage use, and how to prevent and manage relapse. If addiction decreases social problems such as delinquency and family breakdown also decrease. It can be difficult to overcome a drug addiction without treatment and professional help. It takes time and it is not something you can do alone. Everyone needs help and support. With the right help, you can overcome this serious addiction.